Visiting the scariest places on Earth might not sound like a great use of your PTO at first, but hear us out. Many things that are terrifying at first glance often lead to some of the most fascinating, downright beautiful corners of the planet. We're talking limestone caves as tall as cathedrals, eternally burning pits in the middle of the desert, and marine lakes filled with millions of golden jellyfish. And if you're looking for straight up creepiness, don't worry, there are places just for you to explore. Our planet certainly has its fair share of terrifying and mysterious places just waiting for the next morbidly inclined traveler to come visit. From Italy to Antarctica, these are some of the scariest places on Earth. A collection of over 200,000 wooden crosses on a small hill in Šiauliai, North Lithuania. The Hill of Crosses started as an act of rebellion in 1831 against the Russian uprising. Religion was forbidden by Soviet Russia and the hill was bulldozed twice during the occupation. After Lithuania's independence in 1991, it became a holy site for many Christian pilgrims. Mummification is one of the traditional practices of the people of Benguet province in preserving their dead. It is performed mainly by the Ibaloi tribe, particularly in the municipality of Kabayan where the mummies were discovered. The well-preserved human mummies were found in caves at Timbak, Bangau, Tinongchal, Naape and Oktas, all in Kabayan. These mummies were believed to be rediscovered in the early 1900s. Other mummies were discovered in Kananay tribe burial caves in the municipalities of Baguias and in the boundaries of Kapengan and Kibungan. Mummies were also discovered in a burial place in Mount Santo Tomas near Baguio City but were stolen or impaired by other settlers who came. The burial places of these mummies were laid in mountain caves within their ancestral lands. Located in the small Czech village of Lukova, St. George's Church hasn't had the easiest life. The 14th-century church burnt down an unusual number of times throughout the centuries, most recently in the late 1960s. That blaze brought down part of the roof during a funeral, and the congregations finally decided the place was haunted and left it abandoned for more than 40 years. That all changed in 2012, when an art student named Jakub Hadrava decided to breathe new life into the church. In the creepiest way imaginable, that is. Hadrava built a set of eerie figures, made from applying plaster to live models draped in sheets, and placed them around the sanctuary, giving the appearance of ghosts gathered for midnight mass. The installation ended up being quite a hit with locals, and the site is still open on Sunday afternoons for people wanting to sneak a peek at the ghost church. The Mutter Museum is an institution dedicated to medical anomalies. It houses organs, bones, fetuses and statues that'll leave you with chills. Its medical oddities, anatomical and pathological specimens, wax models, and antique medical equipment are world famous. Medical oddities of all kinds captivate visitors, but highlights include Marie Curie's electrometer, Dr. Benjamin Rush's medicine chest, slides of cells from Albert Einstein's brain, and, most spectacularly, the death cast of Chong and Eng, the original Siamese twins, whose autopsy was performed in the museum. Be sure to check out the infamous Soap Lady, whose body was exhumed in Philadelphia in 1875, and a special 139-piece collection of human skulls. From the late 1800s to the 1960s, Centralia was a quaint but bustling town in Pennsylvania, thanks to its prosperous coal mines. However, when a mine mysteriously caught fire in 1962, the flames began to spread underground via the interconnecting tunnels. Although the citizens were aware of the situation, they weren't truly troubled until two isolated incidents some years later: a gas station owner reporting abnormally high gasoline temperatures in his underground tanks in 1979, and a young boy nearly falling into a 150-foot deep sinkhole in his backyard in 1981. Since those disturbing occurrences, the town's population decreased sharply. As of 2021, only 4 residents remain, although Centralia seems like a complete ghost town upon visiting. If you ever find yourself in the deserted city, You'll find many torn-down buildings, crumbled sidewalks, and the cracked, graffiti-filled Route 61. And just in case you forgot why the town is deserted, you can occasionally see smoke billowing out from the subterranean fires, which scientists estimate will continue to burn for another 250 years. Museum Vrolik is a small museum with a unique collection of pathological specimens, anomalous embryos, odd skulls and bones, and other anatomical abnormalities from the late 18th century, 19th century and early 20th century. Museum Vrolik's collection includes about 10,000 anatomical specimens of humans and animals, such as skeletons and skulls, but also pathological anatomy and congenital malformations, such as dwarfism, cyclopia and Siamese twins in formaldehyde. They are the result of severe developmental defects, so severe that the children died shortly after birth. During the Battle of Okinawa, anywhere from 12,000 Americans and over 100,000 Japanese lost their lives. The island of Okinawa has a long history. Unfortunately, World War II is one of the most notable historical events that occurred on and around Okinawa. Some of the bloodiest battles of the Pacific occurred on Okinawa. There are many sites in southern Okinawa related to the war that can be visited today. I'm surprised dark tourists don't flock to Okinawa. Some of the famous sites include Hacksaw Ridge, the former Japanese Navy Underground Headquarters, and the Peace Memorial Museum. The former Japanese Navy Underground Headquarters is not to be missed, especially if seeking out the darker side of history. Visitors can walk through the tunnels and view some of the special rooms. One room that stood out to me had holes all over the walls and ceiling from a grenade that was used by an officer to end their life. Only 2 kilometers away from the well-known casino of Mount Parnitha, Attica, stands the forsaken sanatorium of Parnitha, built there, owing to the dry climate, for the treatment of tuberculosis, in 1912. After the discovery and eventual use of the TB vaccine in 1921, the sanatorium, no longer needed for TB patients, was bought by the Hellenic Tourist Organization in around 1965. The sanatorium was converted into one of the Xenia hotels, a chain of hotels owned and run by the Greek government, and later became a school for tourism. The project was eventually ditched in 1983, when it became clear they were no match for the nearby casino complex. Across the road from the abandoned sanatorium of Parnitha, artist, Spyridon Dasidis, has created the Park of Souls. Bodie State Historic Park, once a booming California gold town, is now a notorious ghost town. It sits in a memorialized state of arrested decay, with dilapidated buildings preserved in their state of abandonment from the late 1800s. Walking down the dusty, dirt roads of Bodie invokes a bit of a dark appreciation and wonder about what happened to the people that lived here. Visitors can walk through the main streets of the town, seeing the various houses, stores, and saloons. Canned goods still on store shelves, original newspapers in the buildings, and old wooden pews still in the church. There are old forgotten cars in the grass, rusting and being overgrown by nature. Bodie is most popular with history buffs, photographers, and those who love to visit dark tourism sites. Plan your trip to Bodie in the morning to avoid the peak desert heat. While walking through Bodie can be a grim experience, it also provides a unique and realistic glimpse of 1800s California mining life. Budapest is popular with both tourists and expats for stunning architecture, gorgeous scenery along the Danube River, and affordable cost of living. The city is also home to the infamous museum, the House of Terror. This museum juxtaposes 2 of the cruelest regimes of the 20th century, Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia. Fittingly located in a building that was once the headquarters of both the Nazi and Communist secret police, the museum is an important reminder of both the crimes perpetrated by those regimes and their victims' courage and resistance. Stepping into the House of Terror transports visitors back to a terrifying time in Europe's history. The museum's artifacts include personal items confiscated by the secret police. It also tells stories such as a family's desperate attempt to hide a young boy and baby girl from the Nazis during the Holocaust. Although now a museum, many rooms remain exactly as they were when the headquarters were operational. This includes prison cells, rooms filled with torture devices, and a guillotine-scale model. Pripyat is an abandoned town, the one which is closest to the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. It has been uninhabited since 1986 when the nuclear disaster took place. Pripyat used to be home to the hundreds of workers and scientists that worked in the factory. However, due to the extremely high levels of radioactivity, all people were moved from the town. Nowadays, the levels of radioactivity have dropped significantly in comparison to 1986, and the place is basically safe to visit, but with a guide. After the Chernobyl disaster, Pripyat was cleared of its inhabitants. Everything was left intact and up to this day stays where it has been once left: household furniture, everyday items, even the nursery's beds, and an amusement park's bumper cars and Ferris wheel are still there. The feeling of the place being haunted is extreme.